When someone dies, St. Paul talks about death. But we would not have you ignorant, brethren, concerning those who are asleep, that you may not grieve as others do who have no hope. Christians are people of hope. We know that there is life after death. How? The Transfiguration is all the proof you need. Elijah and Moses were there and they had died centuries before. Exodus 3 verse 6, and he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. In Matthew chapter 22 verses 31 to 32, Jesus says, And as for the resurrection of the dead, have you not read what was said to you by God, I am the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob? He is not God of the dead, but of the living. Jesus himself died on the cross, and within 3 days he was talking with Mary Magdalene, 2 disciples on the road to Emmaus. All of us have buried loved ones. And just as God spoke to them, he speaks to you. If you'll be celebrating a marriage anniversary alone this year, God speaks to you. If your child made it to heaven before making it to kindergarten, God speaks to you. If you lost a loved one to violence, if you learned more than you want to know about a disease, if your dreams were buried as they lowered the casket, God speaks to you. When you stand, among your friends, next to the grave of a loved one, and the feeling of loss weighs heavy upon your shoulders, remember God and His angels are with you. Shortly, you will return to your normal routine. You will still be sad, you will never forget the loved one, but it will be time to move on. 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verses 1 to 9. For we know that if the earthly tent we live in is destroyed, we have a building from God, a house not made with hands, eternal heavens. Here indeed we groan, and long to put on our heavenly dwelling, so that by putting it on we may not be found naked. For while we are still in this tent, we sigh with anxiety, not that we would be found unclothed, but that we would be further clothed, so that what is mortal may be swallowed up by life. He who has us for this very thing is God, who has given us the Spirit as a guarantee. So we are always of good courage. We know that while we are at home in the body we are away from the Lord, for we walk by faith, not by sight. We are of good courage, and we would rather be away from the body and at home with the Lord. So whether we are at home or away, we make it our aim to please Him. It is right for us to weep, but there is no need for us to despair. They had pain here. They have no pain there. They struggled here. They have no struggles there. They had tears and sorrow here. They have no tears and sorrow there. They have a grave here. They have no need for graves there. You and I might wonder why God took them home. But they don't. They understand. Refiner's fire. There was a group of women in a Bible study on the book of Malachi. As they were studying chapter 3, they came across verse 3 that says, He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. The verse puzzled the women, and they wondered what that statement meant about the character and nature of God. One of the women offered to find out about the process of refining silver, and get back to the group at their next Bible study. That week this woman called up a silver and made an appointment to watch him at work. She didn't mention anything about the reason for her interest in silver beyond her curiosity about the process of refining silver. As she watched the silversmith, he held a piece of silver over the fire and let it heat up. He explained that in refining silver, one needed to hold the silver in the middle of the flames were hottest so as to burn away all the impurities. The woman thought about God holding us in such a hot spot, then she thought again about the verse, that He sits as a refiner and purifier of silver. She asked the silversmith if it was true that he had to sit in front of the fire the whole time the silver was being refined. The man answered yes. He not only had to sit there holding the silver, but he had to keep his eyes on the silver the entire time it was in the fire. If the silver was left even a moment too long in the flames, it would be destroyed. The woman was silent for a moment. Then she asked the silversmith, How do you know when the silver is fully refined? He smiled at her and answered, Oh, that's the easy part when I see my image reflected in it. If today you're feeling the heat of the fire, if today you're mourning the death of a loved one, remember that God has His eye on you, and will keep His hand on you, and watch over you until he sees his image in you. God's way, and his will, always come in his own perfect time.